Alright, folks, let's talk about the Australian cattle dog, also known as the blue heeler. Now, right off the bat, you hear that name, and you're thinking, blue heeler? What is this, a dog or some kind of cowboy boot? I mean, Australian cattle dog makes sense. It's a dog, it's from Australia, and it's really good at herding cattle. But blue heeler? That sounds like something you'd order at a bar. Yeah, I'll take a blue heeler on the rocks. So, how did this dog end up with such an odd name? Buckle up, because this is one of those stories where history, science, and a little bit of wild dog energy collide in a way that only Australia could pull off. The blue part. Not actually blue, but close enough. First, let's tackle the blue part. If you've ever seen a blue heeler, you know they're not actually blue in the sense that they look like a Smurf's pet. No, their coat has this bluish gray, speckled, or mottled look that makes them appear kind of blue, in a dog sort of way. It's like if you took a regular dog and ran it through a high-end Instagram filter that adds a touch of dramatic flair. Now, how does a dog end up looking blue? Well, it's all about coat genetics. See, these dogs don't have actual blue fur. They have a mix of black, white, and gray hairs that create an illusion of blue. It's like when you mix a bunch of colors together in a painting, and somehow the whole thing ends up looking like a storm cloud. That's the Australian cattle dog's fur. There's also a red version of the breed, known as the red heeler, because of course there is. Australia didn't just stop at blue. They had to go full color spectrum on us. But today, we're talking about the blue heeler, because let's face it, that name sounds way more mysterious. The heeler part. This dog will bite you, but with love. Now let's talk about the heeler part. And let me tell you, this part of the name makes way more sense. Blue heelers are herding dogs, and their herding technique involves nipping at the heels of livestock to get them moving. Yes, that's right. These dogs are four-legged, furry personal trainers for cows. If a cow is standing around, daydreaming about grass, not moving fast enough, the blue heeler will run up and give it a quick bite on the heel, like, hey buddy, we got places to be. It's like the dog version of someone tapping their watch and saying, let's go, let's go. Now, you might be thinking, wait, doesn't that make them ankle biters? Well, yeah, but in a professional capacity. They don't bite out of aggression. They bite because that's how they communicate with slow-moving cows. And here's the best part. This works. The cows move, the job gets done, and the blue heeler walks away looking like a genius. However, if you're planning on getting one as a pet, be prepared, because this healing instinct doesn't just turn off. If you don't keep them occupied, they might start hurting the entire family. That's right, your kids, your other pets, maybe even your mailman. If something's moving, the blue heeler sees it as a job opportunity. The Australian part, the most hardcore dog origin story ever. So, we've covered the blue and the heeler. But what about the Australian part? Well, this breed's history is about as wild as Australia itself. Back in the 1800s, Australian cattle ranchers had a serious problem. They needed a tough dog that could handle the brutal landscape, the extreme temperatures, and, the occasional wild kangaroo attack. The dogs they had weren't cutting it, so what did they do? They got creative. They started crossbreeding different types of dogs, because why settle for one when you can have the best of everything? They took herding dogs from England, mixed them with Australia's wild dingoes, and then added in a few other breeds for good measure. And what did they end up with? A dog that was fast, smart, and as durable as an Outback truck. Think about that for a second. They looked at dingoes, which are basically wild, untamed, desert-dwelling survivalists, and said, yeah, let's mix that into the gene pool. And somehow, instead of getting a complete disaster, they ended up with one of the best herding dogs on the planet. This dog was made for work. It was bred to run for miles, chase down cattle twice its size, and survive in conditions that would make most other breeds pack up and leave. That's why the blue heeler is so incredibly tough and independent. It's got the heart of a cowboy and the energy of a caffeine-fueled marathon runner. So, why are they called blue heelers? To sum it up, they're called blue because their coat looks bluish-gray, even though, technically, they're not actually blue. They're called heeler because they nip at the heels of cattle to get them moving. They're called Australian because, well, they were literally created in Australia using one of the most insane dog breeding experiments ever. It's the perfect name for a dog that is equal parts intelligent, energetic, and slightly obsessed with making sure everything is moving in the right direction. Final thoughts, a blue heeler in your life? Buckle up. If you're thinking about getting a blue heeler, let me just say this is not a casual decision. This is a dog that needs a job, an active lifestyle, and probably a lot of space. If you live in a tiny apartment and think you're just going to let this dog chill on the couch all day, you're in for a wake-up call. This dog is going to look at you like, what are we doing? Where are we running? Do you have any cows I can chase? They are loyal, smart, and incredibly hardworking, but if they get bored, oh boy, you better start checking your shoes, your furniture, and maybe even your walls, because a bored blue heeler is a destructive blue heeler. But if you've got the time, the space, and the energy to match their level of enthusiasm, this might just be one of the best dogs you'll ever have. It'll be your running partner, your loyal sidekick, and possibly the only thing keeping your livestock or your kids in line. So next time someone asks, why are they called blue heelers? You can tell them, because they're blue, they heal, and they were literally built for the toughest job on earth. And if they ask, should I get one? Just look at them and say, only if you're ready to keep up.